My daughter's scream didn't sound human. It sliced through the quiet suburban street and made every instinct in my body ignite. I sprinted toward the sound, but nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what I saw. HOA Karen, the woman who acted like she owned the entire neighborhood, stood inches away from my 12-year-old daughter, Emily, holding a sharp silver knife. Not a pocket blade, not an accident, a weapon she had pulled out deliberately. Emily was backed against the fence, her small hands shaking, her cheeks wet with tears. Karen's eyes were cold, unblinking, like she'd finally snapped and chose my child as her target. Neighbors peeked out from behind curtains, but didn't dare step outside. And then Karen whispered something twisted, something that made my blood turn to ice. But what she didn't know was that she had just threatened the wrong child and the wrong father. Before we dive in, I want to ask you something important. Which city are you watching from? Comment your city below. I love seeing my audience from all across the USA. And before the story begins, hit that subscribe button, because what you're about to hear is shocking, emotional, and full of twists you will not see coming. All right, let's start. I moved into Willow Creek, hoping it would be a fresh beginning for my daughter and me. After losing my wife, Emily was never quite the same. She carried grief, quietly, the kind of pain that doesn't scream but lingers like a shadow. Willow Creek looked peaceful. Clean streets, trimmed lawns, smiling neighbors. But every neighborhood has secrets, and every HOA has someone who believes the rules matter more than human beings. For us, that person was Karen Whitmore. Karen didn't just enforce HOA rules, she breathed them, controlled them, used them like weapons. Kids couldn't chalk on sidewalks. Bikes had to be parked at perfect angles. Even walking on restricted HOA paths was somehow a crime in her eyes. But nothing prepared me for the day she pulled a knife on my child. Because what Karen didn't know was that my daughter wasn't just an ordinary kid, and I wasn't just an ordinary father. Emily always walked the same route home from school, past the maple tree, across Willow Creek's perfectly polished sidewalk, then through the small alley that ran behind our house. It was safe, quiet, predictable, exactly what she needed after months of emotional recovery. That day, the sky was soft and gold, the air warm, the kind of afternoon where nothing feels dangerous. Emily carried her backpack loosely over one shoulder, humming to herself, her steps light. Security cameras later showed the same thing. She was peaceful, unaware, innocent. But then Karen stepped into the alley. Karen wasn't just an HOA board member, she was the self-declared sheriff of the neighborhood. Every rule violation passed through her first. She tracked grass length with a ruler. She left fines on cars for parking at incorrect angles. She even yelled at kids for laughing too loudly near the pool. But approaching a child with a knife? No one could have imagined she'd go that far. Emily slowed when she saw her. Cameras caught the moment her smile faded. She clutched her backpack strap a little tighter. Karen stood in the center of the narrow path, blocking the way, her face tight, and fixed in a strange, unsettling stare. What did I do? Emily asked quietly. You walked on my path, Karen replied, her voice low, almost trembling with anger. Kids think they can do whatever they want. Not here. Not in my neighborhood. Emily glanced around, confused. I was just going home. That's what they all say. Karen took a step closer. Emily took one step back. And that's when Karen's hand moved. Fast, sharp, deliberate. She reached into her bag and pulled out a silver knife, clean, shiny, like she'd polished it before leaving home. Emily froze, her breath hitching. The footage shows her backing into the fence, both palms lifted in fear. Please don't. You need to learn, Karen hissed. Kids like you don't belong here, walking around like you're special. That line, kids like you, would haunt me later. Because Karen didn't know Emily's truth. Not yet. Across the street, an elderly man peeked through his blinds. A couple paused their dog walk. People stared, shocked, yet no one stepped forward. Fear of Karen was real. She'd sued a family once because their wind chimes were too whimsical. She'd threatened to evict a retired woman over non-compliant mailbox paint. People didn't challenge Karen. Not ever. But this wasn't rule enforcement. This was something else. Something darker. Emily's voice trembled. Please don't hurt me. I didn't do anything. Karen lifted the knife higher, her face twisting. You're lying. You think you're above the rules. All of you think you can just ignore me. Emily pressed back, so hard the fence shook. Her tears blurred her vision. Her fingers curled against the slats. She whispered, I want my dad. And that's when I turned the corner. I was just coming back from a meeting. I'd parked around the block because the neighborhood was full. I heard the scream before I saw anything, a raw, terrified sound I had never heard from my daughter in her entire life. I ran, but running toward danger is something I'd been trained to do. And that was the part Karen didn't know. I reached the alley out of breath, heart pounding, and froze only for a fraction of a second, long enough for the world to tilt. Karen. A knife. My daughter. My vision tunneled. Everything in me roared awake. Every instinct, every training drill, every protective reflex of a father who'd already lost too much in his life. Step away from my daughter. I roared. Karen jerked her head toward me, startled but not enough to drop the knife. This is HOA business, she snapped. Stay back. HOA business. She said it like it justified everything, like it gave her permission. Emily sobbed. Dad, she pulled a knife? I see it, sweetheart. Stay still. Karen didn't lower the blade. She trespassed. She broke the rules. I moved closer, slow, controlled. She's a child, Karen. Put the knife down. Don't tell me what to do. She brandished it higher. Neighbors gathered behind me now, whispering, gasping, phones in trembling hands. Some recorded. Some hid. None intervened. You don't understand, Karen said. This girl is dangerous. My jaw clenched. She's 12. She's not normal. Karen barked. I've seen the way she walks, the way she talks, the way she looks around like she's studying everything. She's hiding something. Emily shook violently. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. No, I said softly, my eyes locked on Karen. You're not the one who should be apologizing. Karen's grip tightened. She has no right to be here. She's different. She thinks she can break rules because she... I cut her off. You have no idea who she is. Karen blinked. What? You don't know who she really is, I said, voice low, dangerous. And you definitely don't know who I am. Something flickered in her face, a mix of confusion and fear. But she still didn't put the knife down. I stepped forward again, and my voice dropped into the command tone I hadn't used since my old life, the one I'd left behind years ago for Emily's safety. Karen, I said, I won't say it again. Drop. The knife. For the first time, uncertainty cracked through her bravado. Her fingers twitched. Her breath hitched. Then she screamed, You can't stop me. And she lunged. She didn't reach Emily because I moved faster. Training. Reflex. Instinct. I grabbed Karen's wrist midair, twisted the knife out of her hand, and shoved her back so hard she stumbled into the fence. Gasps exploded behind us. The knife clattered to the ground. I kicked it away. Emily ran into my arms, shaking uncontrollably. I held her tight, whispering, You're safe now. I've got you. Karen stared at us, stunned, humiliated, furious, and suddenly terrified. Because in that moment, she finally realized something. She hadn't just pulled a knife on any child. She pulled a knife on my daughter. And I wasn't the man she thought I was. The moment I disarmed Karen, the entire neighborhood seemed to wake up from a trance. People who had been hiding behind fences and hedges finally stepped forward, their eyes wide with shock. A couple gasped. Someone whispered, Did she actually pull a knife on a kid? But no one, absolutely no one, moved to help. Emily clung to me, her face buried in my chest, trembling so hard I could feel her heartbeat through her shirt. I wrapped one arm around her while keeping my eyes locked on Karen. My voice was steady, cold, controlled. The same tone I used years ago in situations far more dangerous than this suburban nightmare. Karen pressed herself against the fence, rubbing her wrist where I'd twisted it. She looked at me with pure hatred mixed with something new fear, real fear, because she had recognized something in me when I moved, something she couldn't name, but absolutely felt. "You assaulted me," she screeched suddenly, trying to regain control. "You attacked an HOA board member. That's a federal offense." A few neighbors exchanged confused glances. A man muttered under his breath, "That's not even remotely true." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "Karen," I said, stepping closer, "you pulled a weapon on a child. You crossed the line from HOA nuisance to criminal assault." She pointed a shaking finger at Emily. "She was trespassing. She was provoking me. She's not normal." Emily's grip tightened around me. The words hit her like a slap. She pulled back slightly, wiping her tears with the back of her hand, her voice barely a whisper. "Dad, why does she keep saying that?" I cupped her cheek gently. "Because she doesn't understand you, sweetheart. And when people don't understand something, they fear it." But this wasn't about misunderstanding. This was about something deeper, something Karen had observed but couldn't interpret. Because Emily's difference wasn't a flaw. It was a strength. And Karen had no idea how dangerous it was to provoke her. I turned to Karen. "You don't know anything about my daughter. You don't know what she's been through." Karen scoffed. "Oh, please." She walks around staring at everything like she's analyzing it. She knows every path, every camera, every yard. Kids don't memorize neighborhoods like that unless they're hiding something. The neighbors murmured. Karen's voice was cracking. Her arguments sounded desperate now, stretched thin. And then she made her biggest mistake. She lunged toward Emily again, not with a knife, but with her hand raised as if she were going to grab her. I moved instinctively, shielding Emily, my stance shifting into a defensive posture, so natural it didn't feel like a choice, it felt like muscle memory. Something in that movement made Karen freeze completely. Her eyes widened. She finally saw it. She finally realized I wasn't just a random suburban father. Who are you?" she whispered. The neighbors leaned in. Even Emily looked up at me. But before I could answer, a police car turned the corner, lights flashing, sirens silent. Someone had called 911. Thank God. Officer Martinez stepped out, one hand hovering near her holster. "We got a call about a knife incident. Everyone step back." Karen immediately pointed at me. "That man attacked me. He attacked me in front of witnesses. Arrest him." Officer Martinez raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, several neighbors already reported that you pulled a knife on a child." "That's a lie." Karen shouted. "They're all biased. This whole neighborhood is against me." "No," a voice said from behind us. It was Mr. Lambert, the oldest resident on the block, the kindest man I'd met here. He walked forward slowly, hands shaking from age and fear, but his voice was firm. "She did it. I saw the whole thing. She cornered the girl. Then she pulled a knife." One by one, other neighbors nodded. A woman said, "We recorded it." A college kid added, "I have the whole thing on video." Karen's face drained of color. "You traitors," she whispered. "All of you." Officer Martinez looked at me. "Sir, is this your daughter?" "Yes." "And you disarmed the suspect?" "Yes." "How?" My eyes met hers for a long second. She wasn't asking how physically. She was asking how so efficiently, so precisely, so professionally. I gave her the truth, but only part of it. "Training," I said simply. "Old job." Karen snarled. "He's lying. He's dangerous. You have no idea who he is." Officer Martinez sighed. "Ma'am, you're the one who pulled a deadly weapon on a minor." Karen started shaking her head violently. No. You don't understand. The HOA rules, our regulations, our property bylaws, they give me authority. Authority doesn't include stabbing children," Martinez replied dryly. Then she turned to me. "I need your full name for the report." I hesitated, just for a second, because giving my real name meant revealing more than this neighborhood ever expected, more than I ever wanted Emily exposed to. But Emily needed justice. She needed safety. So I spoke clearly. My name is Daniel Hart. A few neighbors exchanged glances. They recognized it. Karen's breathing hitched. You're that Daniel Hart? The one from the... I cut her off sharply. Stop talking. But it was too late. The whisper spread through the small crowd like a shockwave. The Daniel Hart, the one from the classified Federal list, the former undercover operative who dismantled a trafficking ring, the man who disappeared from public view for his daughter's safety. I saw the dawning horror on Karen's face as she realized exactly who she had tried to attack. Not just a girl, but the daughter of a man trained to neutralize threats more dangerous than she could ever imagine. Officer Martinez looked at me differently now, not with suspicion, but with understanding. Quiet respect. Mr. Hart, she said carefully, we'll handle this. We'll take her in for questioning. Karen's voice broke. You can't arrest me. I'm the HOA president. I enforce order. You're under arrest for assault with a deadly weapon, Martinez replied, and attempted harm to a minor. The handcuffs clicked. Karen screamed. Emily flinched. Neighbors stepped back, and as Karen was led to the car, she twisted her neck toward me and spat out one final sentence that sent a cold chill down my spine. This isn't over. Karen's scream echoed long after the police car drove away, swallowed by the quiet tension hanging over Willow Creek. Neighbors stood in clusters, whispering, glancing between me, Emily, and the empty street where Karen had been dragged off moments earlier. But even with Karen gone, something felt wrong. Something unfinished. Her last words, this isn't over, stuck to my spine like ice. Emily gripped my arm tightly, her voice small but trembling. Dad, why did she say that? Why does she hate me so much? I brushed her hair back gently. She doesn't hate you, sweetheart. She hates what she doesn't understand. But even as I said the words, the truth gnawed at me. Karen's rage wasn't random. It wasn't impulsive. It was targeted. She hadn't just been punishing a kid for breaking the rules. Her obsession with Emily ran deeper, too deep, and I needed to know why. As neighbors started drifting away, Officer Martinez approached us, her tone softer now. Mr. Hart, can we talk? I nodded, telling Emily to stay close. Martinez lowered her voice. Karen will be processed tonight, but something was off about her. Not just the incident, the way she talked, the way she fixated on your daughter. It felt personal. I exhaled slowly. I noticed. Do you have any idea why she'd target Emily specifically? I hesitated. My mind replayed every moment of the attack. The precision of Karen's words, the way she said kids like you, the way she watched Emily on the street before the incident. There was something Karen had seen, something she'd picked up on, and only one explanation made sense. An explanation I couldn't share. Not yet. Instead, I asked Martinez, has she ever done anything like this before? She sighed. We've had complaints. She's threatened people, yelled at children, escalated arguments, but never with a weapon. This was different. Too aggressive. Too calculated. Calculated. Exactly the word I feared. Because Karen wasn't acting like an out-of-control HOA bully. She was acting like someone who knew something, or someone who'd been instructed. Emily tugged at my sleeve. Dad, can we go home? Yeah, sweetheart. Let's go. As we walked back toward our house, my instincts wouldn't settle. Years of undercover work had sharpened my senses to read subtle danger, shadows that didn't belong, cars that moved too slowly, people pretending not to watch. Today's attack wasn't a random Karen meltdown. This felt like the beginning of something. When we got home, Emily went straight to her room. I watched from her doorway as she curled under her blanket, hugging her stuffed fox, something she only did when she was deeply shaken. I sat beside her. Emily, talk to me. What happened before I got there? She swallowed hard. She was following me. My chest tightened. How long? Since last week. I didn't want to scare you, Dad. My heartbeat quickened. Sweetheart, why didn't you tell me? Because you looked tired, she whispered. And she didn't touch me before. She just watched me. Every time I walked home. Every time I passed her house. She'd stare like she knew something about me. My stomach dropped. Following? Watching? Testing boundaries? This wasn't HOA behavior. This was surveillance. Did she ever talk to you before today? I asked. Emily nodded, her fingers twisting in the blanket. 2 times. Once she asked if I remembered where I came from. And another time she asked if I'd ever gotten lost before. A cold chill crawled up my neck. Those weren't normal questions. Not even close. You're sure those were her exact words? Emily nodded again, eyes shining with fear. Dad, how does she know I used to get lost? I only told you. Nobody else. I forced a slow breath. Emily's childhood diagnosis, a form of hyperawareness mixed with rare spatial memory, was something only a few people knew. She could scan a room once and map it perfectly. She remembered routes, escape paths, patterns. It made her gifted and vulnerable. When Emily was younger, people tried to take advantage of her ability. People from my old world. People who wanted her for the wrong reasons. That's why I left the undercover life. That's why I vanished. That's why we moved here. But Karen knowing anything? Impossible. Unless someone told her. Or worse, someone sent her. Emily wiped her eyes. Dad, do you think she'll come back? I hugged her gently. She's in police custody. She can't hurt you. But inside, I wasn't convinced. Karen's last words kept replaying, "This isn't over." After Emily fell asleep, I stepped outside to get some air. Fireflies blinked in the darkness, and the street lamps flickered lazily. The neighborhood looked peaceful, but peace was an illusion. A sudden rustle near the bushes made me tense, but it was just Mrs. Bradley, the quiet widow who lived next door. Her hands were clasped against her chest, her voice low and trembling. Daniel, I need to tell you something. I stepped closer. What's wrong? She hesitated, looking around nervously. I saw Karen talking to someone last night. Behind the mailboxes. A man. Tall. Dressed in black. My breath caught. What did he look like? I couldn't see his face, she whispered, but he handed her something, a small envelope, and she said, I'll take care of the girl. Then he walked away. My pulse hammered. Did you hear anything else? Mrs. Bradley shook her head. No, but Daniel, she didn't pull that knife because of HOA rules. She pulled it because someone wanted her to. Everything inside me chilled. Karen wasn't unhinged. Karen was instructed, and someone out there wanted Emily harmed or taken. Did you tell the police? I asked. No, she whispered. I was scared. I placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Thank you for telling me. If you remember anything else, tell me immediately. She nodded shakily and hurried back home. Now I knew. This wasn't random. This wasn't an HOA meltdown. This was a planned attack. Someone had found us. Someone who knew who I was. Someone who knew what Emily could do. When I stepped back inside, I locked all the doors, checked every window, and activated the old security protocols I'd hoped I'd never need again. As I walked down the hallway toward Emily's room, I heard her soft breathing, calm now, peaceful. I whispered to myself, I won't let them take her. Not again. Not ever. Because now the real battle had begun, and whoever had sent Karen had no idea what kind of father they were challenging. Night settled over Willow Creek, but peace didn't. Not for me. Not anymore. After putting Emily to bed, I sat at the dining table with only the small overhead light on, the rest of the house swallowed in darkness. My laptop was open in front of me, not for work, not for emails, but for something I promised myself I'd never do again. I was going back into the system I abandoned when Emily was 6, the system that nearly got both of us killed. But tonight wasn't about fear. It was about survival. I typed in a series of encrypted codes that my fingers remembered even after years of pretending to be normal. I bypassed firewalls, activated backdoor access, and then the screen finally opened. Federal Intelligence Database, restricted access only. My reflection stared back at me in the dark screen, tired eyes, clenched jaw, a father going back into the dangerous world he promised to leave behind. I typed Karen's full name. The result hit like a punch. No record found. No employment history. No school records. No medical files. Nothing. Karen Whitmore didn't exist. Not legally. Not officially. Her entire identity was fabricated. That meant one thing. She wasn't an HOA nightmare, she was a planted operative. And suddenly everything clicked. Her surveillance on Emily, her escalating hostility, her ability to track our movements without being obvious, her irrational rule obsession used to mask targeted monitoring. She wasn't unhinged. She was trained. Just poorly enough to blend in with suburban chaos. My stomach twisted. If they planted her here, who else had they planted? How long had we really been watched? A soft creak came from upstairs. My instincts flared. Quiet footsteps. Too light to be an adult. I stood quickly, my reflexes kicking in, but relaxed when I saw Emily rubbing her eyes at the bottom of the stairs. Dad, I can't sleep. I knelt and wrapped my arms around her. She rested her head against my shoulder. Are you scared? I asked. A little, she whispered, but not just because of Karen. I had a dream someone was standing outside my window. My body tensed. Did you see a face? No, she said, just a shadow. I kissed her forehead. You're safe. I promise. But as soon as she returned to bed, I checked every door, window, and curtain. Nothing. Still, the unease in my chest wouldn't leave. Around midnight, my phone vibrated with a number I hadn't seen in years. I stared at it. No caller ID. Encrypted line. Government grade. I answered. This is hard. A deep voice responded, smooth and unsettling. So you finally broke silence. I froze. That voice. Familiar. Too familiar. Who is this? I demanded. A faint chuckle. You know exactly who I am. My throat dried. Because he was right. It was Director Hayes, my former commanding officer. The man who once led the division I worked undercover for. The man who said he'd protect Emily after everything that happened. The same man who told me we were safe. What do you want? I asked, voice low. Just checking in, Hayes said casually. After tonight's incident, my blood ran cold. So, you know. Oh, I know everything. Karen was one of ours. I gripped the phone so tight my palm ached. She pulled a knife on my daughter. She was instructed not to harm her, Hayes replied calmly. Just observe her behavior. Document patterns. Validate the anomalies. Anomalies? I exploded. She's a child. Not just any child. Hayes corrected. You know that better than anyone. I shut my eyes, rage simmering. You had no right to send anyone near her. You promised we were off the grid. That was before certain groups started asking questions again. My heart dropped. What groups? Hayes exhaled. The same people who tried to take Emily when she was little. The same people who knew what she was capable of. They're active again. And they want her. No, I whispered. No, she was just a kid then. They can't know anything about her now. They know enough, Hayes said. Her ability makes her valuable. To the wrong people, priceless. I'm not letting anyone near her. I said, every word a threat. You don't have a choice anymore, Hayes replied. She's been identified. By who? That's classified. I slammed my fist on the table. Damn it, Hayes. Answer me. Calm down, Daniel, he said smoothly. The more you panic, the more you make mistakes. Someone manipulated Karen. I said, she met a man last night. Yes, Hayes said. That wasn't one of ours. We've been tracking him too. An independent contractor. Someone dangerous. Someone who specializes in acquiring people with rare cognitive abilities. My blood chilled. They weren't after me. They were after Emily. What does he want with my daughter? I demanded. Daniel. Hayes hesitated. Emily isn't just gifted. She's part of something larger. You know that. I steadied myself. Tell me his name. We don't have a name. Just a code name. My jaw clenched. Say it. Hayes inhaled sharply. The Collector. Silence fell. Cold. Heavy. I'd heard the name once before, whispered through intelligence channels. A man who specialized in locating and kidnapping people with unique skills or knowledge. People with perfect memory, rare neurological traits, or children who could map environments at first glance. People like Emily. Karen didn't act alone, Hayes continued. The collector has agents in multiple suburbs across the country. Willow Creek was a target-rich environment. We didn't think he'd focus on you so quickly. I exhaled shakily. Give me everything you know about him. That's above your clearance. I don't give a damn about clearance, I snapped. This is my daughter. Hayes spoke sharply, which is why you need to stay put. Do not go after him. We'll handle it. You've already failed, I said coldly. Karen was your responsibility, and you let her near my child. Hayes paused. Then hear this clearly, Daniel. From this point on, anyone you see on your street could be working for him. Do not trust your neighbors. Do not trust local police. Do not trust anyone. The line clicked. Call ended. I sat frozen, breath shaking. Emily's soft footsteps approached behind me. Dad, are you okay? I turned. Tears stung my eyes, and I never cried. But this time wasn't about fear. It was about realization. Someone was coming for my daughter. And this battle wasn't about HOA nonsense anymore. It wasn't Karen versus child. It was a war. I knelt, holding Emily's shoulders. I'm going to protect you, I whispered fiercely. With everything I have. You hear me? Emily nodded slowly, her eyes wide. Is someone coming? I pulled her into my arms. Yes, I said truthfully. But they have no idea what kind of father they're dealing with. Morning came too fast. Not because the night was short, but because my mind refused to shut down long enough to sleep. I sat upright on the couch until sunrise, watching the front windows, tracking every shadow that passed, replaying every word Hayes said, especially the one name that changed everything, the collector. By the time the first ray of sunlight hit the living room floor, my decision was already made. I wasn't waiting for him to come. I wasn't trusting Hayes. And I sure as hell wasn't leaving Emily vulnerable. When Emily woke up, she walked downstairs in her oversized hoodie, rubbing her eyes, clutching her stuffed fox. She looked so young in that moment, so innocent, and it killed me to know predators out there saw her as an asset, a target, a weapon. I knelt beside her. How are you feeling, sweetheart? A little better, she whispered, but I don't like how the house feels today. It feels weird. Emily's sensitivity wasn't normal. She sensed tension the way some people sense temperature. Part instinct, part intuition, part whatever gift she had been born with. We're going to stay close today, I told her gently. Inside. Together. She nodded, trusting me in the way only a child could. That trust made my chest tighten. Because trust meant responsibility. And responsibility meant protection at all costs. Around 8 a.m., a knock echoed through the house, slow, deliberate, not the kind neighbors used when borrowing sugar. My pulse sharpened. Emily stiffened beside me. Dad, she whispered. That's the same knock from my dream. A cold chill slid down my back. I put a hand on her shoulder. Get behind the staircase. Don't move. She obeyed immediately. I approached the door, silently, every step calculated. Through the peephole stood a man, mid-40s, graying beard, wearing a USPS mail carrier uniform, except something was off. His posture, his eyes, his stance, too rigid, too alert, too trained. Fake uniform. I didn't open the door. Can I help you? I asked loudly through the wood. The man paused and smiled. Package for Daniel Hart. My blood iced. No one used my real name here. No deliveries came through my legal identity. Leave it on the porch, I said. I need a signature. Then take it back. The man's smile vanished instantly, like a mask dropping. Then he said it. Your daughter has a beautiful mind. My heart stopped. I unlocked the safety on the hidden door latch and stepped back, keeping silent, controlling my breathing. The man leaned closer to the door. You can protect her from neighbors, from HOA presidents, but you can't protect her from us. Us, plural. My vision sharpened, instincts flaring into full alert. I moved away from the door, grabbed Emily from behind the staircase, and whispered, Panic room. Now. She didn't ask questions. She didn't hesitate. She ran with me toward the basement door. Before we reached it, the front doorknob rattled violently. I shoved her into the hidden basement entrance, a reinforced steel door disguised as a bookcase, and pressed my finger against the biometric lock. Emily looked up at me, eyes wide. "Dad, come with me." "I will," I lied. "Go. Now." The door sealed shut just as the front door burst open. One man. No, two. No, three. The collector didn't send amateurs. They moved like a unit, smooth, tactical, practiced. Not FBI. Not military. Private. Ruthless. Efficient. Clear left. Clear hallway. Target not visible. Their voices were calm. Cold. Professional. I ducked around the corner and slipped behind the kitchen island. My mind raced. No weapons nearby except household items. But training meant one truth. Everything is a weapon. The first intruder entered the kitchen, scanning slow. Too slow. He didn't know I was trained to stay behind blind angles. He stepped forward, and I grabbed the nearest object, a cast-iron skillet, and slammed it into his temple with precise force. He dropped instantly. The second rushed in, gun drawn. I grabbed the fallen man's arm and used his body as cover. A bullet hit the fridge. Another hit the pantry door. The intruder cursed, repositioning. That gave me half a second. Half a second is a lifetime for someone like me. I swept the second man's leg, knocking him to the floor, then kicked the gun from his hand and elbowed him across the jaw. He wasn't unconscious, but he wasn't getting up. The third was smarter. He didn't enter, didn't rush. He stayed in the living room, his voice steady. "You're good, Hart. Very good. The collector was right about you." I stepped out slowly, keeping distance. "Where is he?" The man chuckled. "Closer than you think." I tightened my stance. "You're not taking her." "We don't have to," he said. "We already know what she is." My jaw clenched. "You don't know anything." "Oh, we know everything," he replied calmly. "The way she memorizes routes. The way she maps entire neighborhoods after one walk. The way she avoids dead ends instinctively. She's what we call a ghost navigator." My blood ran cold. Emily's ability wasn't supernatural, just extremely rare. A perfect spatial memory, pattern detection, environmental awareness. A trait intelligence agencies would kill to control. "You're not getting near her," I repeated. He smiled. "Daniel, we already have." My heart stopped. "What did you say?" The man pointed at a small blinking device on my hallway wall. A camera. Not mine. They had placed surveillance inside my home without me ever noticing. Emily, her room, her drawings, her routines. They had been watching us. I lunged forward. The man raised his hands. "Careful, Hart. You kill me and he'll come himself." "Who?" A slow, dark smile crept across his face. "The collector." Before I could answer, he threw something, a metallic canister. Smoke exploded across the room. Flashbang? No. Sleep agent. I felt my legs weaken. My vision blurred. My muscles turned heavy, trembling. But through the fog I heard it. A familiar sound. One that didn't belong to the collector's men. A sound from the past. One I prayed I'd never hear again. The metallic click of a government-issued tranquilizer rifle. A figure stepped through the back door. Tall, confident, carrying the weapon like an extension of his arm. Director Hayes. "Stand down, Daniel," he ordered. My knees buckled. You knew they were coming." Hayes didn't deny it. He just said, "You can't fight this alone." Before darkness swallowed me, my last thought was of Emily in the panic room. Safe. For now. But when I finally woke up, the real nightmare would begin. Darkness didn't end. It peeled away slowly, like someone lifting a heavy curtain off my mind. My ears were the first thing to wake. A low hum, a distant metallic clank, then a muffled voice. "Daniel, breathe. You're safe." Safe. The most unbelievable lie I'd heard in years. My eyes snapped open. Fluorescent lights. A concrete ceiling. A metal table. Restraints around my wrists. A government safe house. Hayes sat across from me, elbows pinned on the table, eyes tired but sharp, the eyes of a man who always knew more than he said. "Welcome back," he muttered. I yanked at the restraints. "Where's my daughter?" Hayes didn't flinch. In the panic room, exactly where you left her. The agents escorted her out after you went under. She's safe in federal custody. Federal custody? I growled. She's a child, not some classified asset. Hayes leaned back, exhaling sharply. Daniel, everything happening right now is because Emily is an asset. My blood boiled. She's my daughter. She's both, Hayes responded calmly. And if the collector gets to her, you know what he'll turn her into. I slammed my fists against the table. You promised they'd never find us. You promised. Hayes didn't react. He let the rage burn out and sink into the room like smoke. Finally, he said, "The collector forced our hand. He's closer than we thought, closer than you ever imagined." I stopped pulling at the restraints. What does he want with Emily? Tell me the truth. Hayes swallowed hard. I had seen this man stare down warlords and traitors without a blink, but now there was something on his face I'd never seen from him before. Fear. Emily's brain doesn't just memorize environments, Hayes said quietly. It predicts them. I froze. What? She doesn't just remember details. She calculates outcomes. Subconsciously. Automatically. If you place her in a building she's never seen, she maps exits, blind spots, choke points. But more than that, she predicts movement patterns. Movement patterns. The realization struck me like a punch. When she was little, she always knew where I would hide during hide and seek. Hayes nodded. She wasn't guessing, Daniel. She was forecasting probabilities. I felt my heart squeeze in my chest. And the collector wants to weaponize her. Yes, Hayes said. He wants to use her to design abduction routes, infiltration paths, extraction maps. The kind of strategic intel no computer on Earth can produce. He'll never get her, I said. I'll kill him myself. Hayes leaned forward, voice low. That's exactly why you're here. We're going after him. I narrowed my eyes. What's the catch? Hayes hesitated. And that silence told me everything. You're bait, he finally admitted. I laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. Of course. You always were predictable. Hayes didn't deny it. He wants you just as badly as he wants her. You trained agents he could never catch. You dismantled 2 of his operations without even knowing it. He considers you a personal threat. If he thinks he has you, he'll come out of hiding. So Emily stays with you while I walk into a trap? I asked. No, Hayes said, she stays with you. I blinked. What? Hayes stood and unlocked my restraints. Look at me, Daniel. The collector doesn't want you. He wants her. If you're separated, he wins. I stood slowly, blood rushing back into my arms. Then what's the plan? Hayes's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression changed instantly. Not fear, not irritation. Something far worse. Shock. He turned the screen toward me. A live video feed. A dim room. A blindfolded woman. A message written on the wall. Bring me the girl. My heart dropped into my stomach. That's your neighbor, Hayes finished. Mrs. Bradley. The only woman brave enough to warn me about Karen's secret meeting. The collector had her. Another message appeared under the first. You have 1 hour. Hayes muttered. He moved faster than intel predicted. I grabbed my jacket. Where? The signal pinged an abandoned processing plant 3 miles from here. Hayes replied. We're mobilizing. But Daniel, he'll expect us. He won't expect me, I said. Hayes clenched his jaw. You're unstable, exhausted, emotionally compromised. She's my neighbor. I snapped. She saved my daughter last night. I'm not letting him kill her to send a message. Hayes stared at me for a long moment, then nodded. Then we do this together. The plant. The processing plant loomed like a rusted skeleton against the sky. Broken windows. Bent gates. Wide open space. A strategist's nightmare. It's a funnel. Hayes murmured beside me. He wants you to come through one path. Then we don't, I said. Emily stayed behind with 2 federal agents in the SUV. I hated leaving her, but bringing her inside was certain death. I scanned the building, noting elevation points, movement paths, shadow angles, without thinking. Emily's ability wasn't magic. It was inherited. a softer, gentler version of the instincts I had spent decades shaping into weapons. Hayes whispered, 2 guards on the north side, 1 sniper on the mezzanine, and a scream cut through the building. Mrs. Bradley. I didn't wait. I sprinted. Hayes cursed behind me, following close. Inside, the shadows were thick and humid. Machinery groaned softly like a dying animal. The smell of rust and dampness clung to the air. Then I saw her. Mrs. Bradley, tied to a chair, blindfolded, shaking. A man stepped out from behind her. Tall, black coat, gloves, and a face like a mask carved in stone. The collector. He smiled when he saw me. Finally, he said, the famous Daniel Hart. Let her go, I growled. Oh, she's irrelevant, he replied. You know why you're here. I'm not giving you my daughter. You misunderstand. He chuckled softly. You already did. My blood turned to ice. What? He pointed upward. A small red light blinked in the rafters. A camera. Live feed. Back to the SUV. Emily, watching. A voice crackled through a hidden speaker beside him. Dad? Emily. She had accessed the comm channel from the SUV. My stomach twisted. Emily, stay where you are. Don't move. The collector's smile widened. She's brilliant. Already tracing my signal. He stepped forward. Daniel, your daughter isn't a pawn. She's a prodigy. The world wants her. Powerful people. Dangerous people. And you can't hide her forever. I don't need forever, I said. I just need today. The collector cocked his head. Then show me. He lunged. Hayes fired first, a warning shot. The collector moved like smoke, dodging effortlessly. I charged him, fists clenched. He countered. I parried. He struck with precision. I blocked. He was good. Very good. But he wasn't fighting a trained operative. He was fighting a father. I slammed him into the metal wall, knocking the breath from his lungs. Hayes tackled another guard. Shots rang out. Metal echoed. The collector tried to scramble to his feet, but a small voice crackled in my earpiece. Dad, left side? Emily. Her ability. I reacted instantly. The collector swung from the left, and I caught his wrist midair, twisted, and pinned him to the ground. He gasped. Impossible, she predicted. I pressed him harder. She's my daughter. His breath trembled, and in that moment, he realized he had lost. Hayes cuffed him. You're done. Mrs. Bradley sobbed as I freed her. Daniel, thank God. But I wasn't listening. I ran outside. Emily jumped from the SUV the second she saw me and sprinted into my arms, shaking violently. I didn't want to lose you, she cried. I held her tight. You won't, I whispered. Not ever. And for the first time since this nightmare began, we were safe. Truly safe. Not because of the government, not because of Hayes, but because Emily wasn't just protected. She was powerful. And together, we were unstoppable. If you made it this far, thank you. Stories like this take courage to hear, and even more courage to feel. Before you scroll away, I want to ask you something important. What would you do if someone threatened your child? Comment your thoughts below. I read every single one. And if this story grabbed your heart, shocked you, or kept you hooked from beginning to end, hit that like button so YouTube knows you want more. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another emotional, twist-filled story. And don't forget to turn on notifications, because the next story is even more intense. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel. And thank you for being part of this incredible community. See you in the next story. Stay safe, stay strong, and stay subscribed.